Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name's Liz and this is Let's Get Lizical, where we do everything card making. Today I'm just hopping on for a quick video on my Slimline envelope cut files that I have in my Etsy shop. It is my #1 seller right now. It's like $2 for three different sizes of the envelopes. So I'm just going to show you like what cards they go with and how to assemble them. They're all pretty simple. But I have them in 3 different sizes. So there's the 3 1/4 by 6.5 inch slimline card, which is a mini slimline. This is my custom slimline, which is kind of in between the standard and the mini. It's 3 1/2 by 7. And then this is the standard slimline at 3 1/2 by 8.5. And I have cut files for all 3 envelopes for this. I cut them in red because I'll most likely use them for Christmas cards later, but I also saved the extra bits. As you can see, like they all fit within an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper or cardstock. This is just the 65-pound Recollections cardstock. So this is the smallest one, the middle one, and the largest one takes up most of the space. Like I would probably just recycle this. This one I might actually save this bottom panel for sentiments or strips, and then same with this one. Like I would save the extra bits probably at the side and the bottom here, but I will do that after and then throw them in with my scraps. But if you're working with a Brothers Scan and Cut, I think I added the dashed cut lines to the file because I had a few people come back to me with complaints or issues with it not having it. For me, because my particular Brothers Scan and Cut's an older model, I think the newer models do have scoring capabilities, but mine does not. So for this, I prefer to just score the lines on my scoreboard, because it's just like corner to corner, corner to corner. It's pretty straightforward. I did add the lines in for the Cricut SVG cut files, so you can, because I know the Cricut does have that capability. But again, like for me, I leave it without any extra lines. I just cut the outline and I'll score it. But I think I did add dashed cut lines like I do for my 3D box files, where it just makes it a little bit easier to fold. I just find that especially for an envelope, that the texture that it gives on the ridges is not like ideal for me, so I just decide to not use it. I'll just pull up my EK Tools scoreboard. This is like the smaller one. I think you can get a 12 by 12 as well, but this works fine. For this cut file, you can definitely use it. The other ones, you just have to move it up a bit. So the 6 1/4, I think, is different because the other 2 are the same width. This one's a 3 1/4 inch card, whereas the other ones are 3 1/2. So you'll see that the sides line up with the 2. So I just like score it top to bottom at 2, and then I'll flip it and then do the same just to keep it consistent. And then the top tab is 1 3/8. And then the bottom, I think, is 3/4 for all the files. But again, like you just line up corner to corner if you are using the Brothers Scan and Cut file and you don't want to have those dash lines, you can take them out. Okay, and then we're gonna use our bone folder. This is just a Teflon one I got off of Amazon. I usually fold the sides in and then the bottom up. And then that's how I'll glue it as well. Okay, and then it doesn't really matter what side goes over what. There's about 1/4 to 3/8 inch overlap for these. So what I usually do is I use liquid glue for most things nowadays. This is just the Barely Art glue in a smaller bottle. I'll put a little line on the top of this, and then I'll put a little line on the bottom of this side. And then that way you're not guessing where things go or how far to go over the glue on one panel. Like it's just easier to do the edge of each. And then same with the bottom. You just put a very thin line around the edges. And then for the top, I usually just like stick a piece of double-sided tape here, and then I'll stick it in the envelope if I'm selling the card. If I'm giving the card, obviously I'm gonna seal it. But yeah, it's very simple to assemble these cards. And I'll show you quickly again with the next two. I'll just kind of like speed through it after a second. I think I'll just show you I'll do the longer one. I'll do the full Slimline just to show you how I move it up on the scoreboard. So this one goes at 2 1/8. And then I'll score it, and then I'll just shift it up and just make sure that the sides butted up against the edge, and then continue your score line. And then flip it over and do the same thing. Okay, and you'll see how like the card allows for 1/8 of an inch around. If you're doing a bit of a thicker card, like if you want to do a little bit more dimension, or if you want to do it as a shaker, you might want to assemble the envelope around the card. So what I would do is do your score lines, place your card in it, and don't assemble the actual envelope until your card's finished, because if it has a little bit of thickness, then you'll have to work around that. But I would assemble your card, leave the envelope uncut, or if you're cutting it after, that's fine. And then I would just kind of like fold the edges over. Again, there is a bit of overlap on these panels, so there is a little bit of wiggle room, not too much. But I have put regular cards in with some dimension into these envelopes as is, but if you're doing something a little bit thicker, you just might want to do it around the card. And then this one is this 3.5 by 7 one is the same as the longer Slimline. It's still scoring at 2 1/8. And you'll see I don't put like a ton of glue on here just because I don't want it to leak out. This glue is matte, but you still, especially you don't want it to leak on the inside, or it will like close your envelope. And you can do this out of lightweight cardstock or paper, pattern paper. I just tend to do it out of the cardstock because I have a ton of this red cardstock, and they make good envelopes. These are really good for when you're shipping cards as well, because it does give it a little bit more stability, and it doesn't really add much more weight. Like I just still put probably a single stamp on this card and it would go through the mail fine. But if you want to just check with the post office just to make sure, that's also a good idea. But yeah, so these are the 3 different card envelopes that you get. It's like $2 for the 3 of them, and it's just like a really handy cut file to have, especially if you like doing slimline cards. I don't do the full slimline ones very often. The mini ones are just like, I don't know, they're a little bit too skinny for me. I know some people do the 3x6, which takes off even more. I just think it's a weird ratio, which sounds weird because my 3.5 by 7 is the same ratio, but you just get like that extra width. Like I like to have width on a card, so an extra like 1/4 inch or less makes a difference to me. So I generally like to stick with my custom one, just because I think it's not too long. Like this one obviously has like 1.5 inches more space to fill, but it's also not too narrow. So I like the 3.5 by 7. But I do make cards out of like all 3 of these sizes as well. So yeah, so that was just like a quick video for today, to go over that file, and then I will link that video into my Etsy shop just so that anybody who buys the cut file can know how to assemble. So thanks for joining me for today, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!